This is part 3 of our discussion about vibrational or electromedicine, the electromagnetic spectrum. The whole series was supposed to be about far infrared and why nanotoxicologists like Dr. Hilda Staniger zoom in on that particular bandwidth as a healer for mycotoxicity, mycoplasma release or detox, and things that I'm not supposed to say, like the word detox, the FDA is coming down on. They're still suggesting that, and that work is in focus, but I'm going to come out here and say it on the video that there is work being done to see whether or not infrared is actually a detox process for mycoplasma and nanotoxicity. This work is huge. We're talking volumes worth of work in traditional science labs, and this is the reason that far infrared is so useful is because unlike visible light, it will pass through in the form of a heat. And although you can't see it, that heat passes through, up to 14 inches. I think it was 10 to 14 inches, and depending upon what the heat emission actually is. And even more importantly, the body goes through this process, which is called resonant absorption. And resonant absorption is unique to far infrared. And my suspicion, and I'd have to check with the work of Dr. Martin, is that it's also related to ultraviolet bandwidths, especially ultraviolet B, that the body's able to take what it needs. But it's very obvious. So resonant absorption is kind of like, okay, you have a certain part of the body that's damaged and needs repaired, okay? The cell and the membrane and the miraculous machinery, amino machinery, protein machinery that your body is, knows that it needs to be repaired. This is why you get a scab or the body tries to repair itself when you break a bone and it gets set. It knows how to reweave the weft and the woof of the injury, okay, by internal intelligence, by using processes that really are not admitted by the big pharma industries or mainstream medical, because it's holistic. It deals with a whole myriad of networks, okay, called integral membrane proteins that have this intelligence at the membrane level, not at the DNA level, okay? So electromedicine allows those things, especially far infrared, allows the heat, the perfect environment, which is the right temperature, 7.82 to 14. It creates an environmental heat, warmth. That's why you almost get into like this relaxed trance when you're using far infrared. You're just kind of like, this is many, many people, hundreds of people that I've talked to who've used far infrared. They go, it's heat. That heat relaxes the adrenals, puts the cellular terrain into a specific state, which is optimal for the machinery, the wheels of that Swiss watch, those amino machineries that are the natural lipid exchanges and protein pathway exchanges, that the ultimate heat environment for accelerated healing is that bandwidth created by the infrared spectrum, by using far infrared pads. Then all of the different technologies in far infrared, which would be a whole, I could go on for an entire day about the different technologies available, but I want you to understand the principles of far infrared. You don't want to use technologies that grind up the carbon crystals and paint them onto the diodes. That's all that I'm going to say. Okay, we're not making money by selling the far infrareds, the rest. You can use solid state. There is testing being done on ceramic far infrared. Ceramic far infrared is much less expensive than a lot of the other things going around, like the carbon solid states or even the jade emitters from China. Staniger has made the admission that there's other technologies, including the jade emitters, that are very likely helpful once they're developed scientifically for future use for detoxing mycotoxins from the body of humans. Generally speaking, mycotoxins are poisons that come from molds and fungi, either created in your environment or taken up in food, either based on, okay, I'll be careful what I say. Mycotoxins are everywhere for various reasons, both intentionally and unintentionally. That's all I'm going to say. You can get them from food, you can get them from the air, you can get them from moldy houses in the tropics because your building is not built properly and the internal insulation is rotting. Morgellons is a Vifunguria, which we believe is a cross between a virus and a fungus, and the xenotoxins that are a buildup. And we believe there's mutations in the biofilm that are both fungal and bacterial. And those nanotubules or those microtubules that kind of reach out and feed, and they have these toxins that come into the body, you want to zap those with heat. We know, fact, that far infrared kills fungus. We also know that it kills the nanotubules, but it's not a silver bullet. Okay, this is why we don't include it on nanotransformation in our first $200, I got to get rid of these bugs and these body bugs kind of thing. That's a whole different thing. The body bugs are coming to you because you have a fungus. Okay, the fungus is a deep blood, deep tissue, deep intestinal issue. Far infrared is a very, very important part when you can gather your senses and your wits about you and make a good consumer choice about what product to purchase, okay? Then you can start healing that, but it's not a quick fix. Because once you zap all these things using far infrared by your body reaching out and grabbing the heat and trying to rebuild those neurons with your intake of proteins such as lecithin and the rest, rebuild all those things, you've got to push out those toxins and your kidney will start to get sick. So you got to go through a kidney cleanse and a liver cleanse and all that stuff. And that's why, again, far infrared is not a cure-all, but it certainly activates. I actually use far infrared to heat up water and purify water because it's a vibrational frequency that rattles loose the molecule and actually purifies in unique ways, just like it does in your cellular tissue. The US military knows that near infrared and far infrared accelerates cell growth and healing by 150 to 200%. The Warp 10 near infrared visible spectrum is actually FDA approved, but the FDA has not approved far infrared devices yet. I find that very interesting. But on the battlefield, they're using near infrared technologies to heal wounds because they know that it works. All right. So again, it's right here in this bandwidth range. I'm telling you, even the visible light red spectrum is helpful because when I had body bugs, they did not like red light. You could turn on red light in the room and the activity would go to a bare minimum. And I had this again and again with this. In fact, I slept under a red light. I was also doing far infrared using this, and I had a far infrared sauna that was designed on the carbon system invented by Dr. Hilda Staniger. Okay, I was using that particular method. But I was also at night when I was sleeping, obviously not in the sauna, I had a red light going, and it absolutely brought down the activity, which I now believe was a nematodal activity, okay? So that's what I want you to understand about this. You can get far infrared from your environment. The sun has 7 to 14 micron coming in. In the same way your body grabs the right bandwidth, the Earth's atmosphere allows the right bandwidth to come through, and it peaks out at 10. So you can go lie on the beach and get far infrared. You see what I'm saying? Just be careful of that ultraviolet C. Focus on ultraviolet A, B, and far infrared. Use coconut oil when you're in the sun, okay? Thank you. This is Nanotransformation, far infrared.